Hello, my sleepy travelers. Tonight, let your thoughts wander into the mist-shrouded realms of Middle-earth, a land where quiet mountains cradle ancient memories and gentle starlight falls upon paths once walked by heroes. Here, stories of courage, enchantment, and steadfast friendship drift through the night like soft echoes. If these peaceful journeys bring you comfort, you're welcome to leave a calm little comment or tap the like button. It truly helps the channel continue to grow. Now, settle into your blankets, breathe slowly, and let the timeless legends of Middle-earth guide you deeper into the quiet of the night. It is with quiet joy and a heart full of gratitude that I share with you this cherished collection of tales gathered from the farthest, mist-softened corners of Middle-earth. As a wandering minstrel who has spent long years upon forgotten roads, following starlight through ancient forests, crossing silver rivers at dawn, and pausing at many warm hearths, I have been granted the rare privilege of hearing stories that have lived for ages in the breath of this enchanted land. Here, woven between these lines, you will discover legends whispered from one generation to the next, each tale a luminous jewel, polished by time and filled with the wisdom, courage, and longing of the peoples who shaped them. For I have broken bread with elves beneath moonlit boughs, shared laughter with dwarves deep in their mountain halls, traded tales with hobbits over gentle evening fires, and marched beside men through seasons of both sorrow and hope. From them all I learned a timeless truth, that stories are bridges, binding souls across distance and darkness. They remind us of what is noble in our hearts, and they light our way when night seems long and uncertain. And so, whether you are a wise wanderer wrapped in a cloak of twilight, or a humble farmer resting after a long day's toil, whether you carry a sword, a walking stick, or simply the quiet dreams within your chest, these tales will reflect you. They will show you the courage hidden in stillness, the compassion that waits in every gentle choice, and the steadfast resilience that glows in every mortal and immortal heart. Among the countless legends of the Golden Wood, one shines with particular splendor. In Lothlorien there dwelt a renowned company of elven warriors known as the Galadrim, and at their head was the valiant Phelan, bold of spirit, wise beyond reckoning, and beloved by all who walked beneath the Malon leaves. Tales whispered throughout Middle-earth claimed that no warriors could match their grace or their might. One eve, as they returned from aiding their lord in defending the northern borders, their ship approached Ruindil, the enchanted waterfall. Yet the water, usually wild and laughing, stilled at their arrival, as though some unseen hand had calmed its very soul. The wind held its breath among the trees. The river shone as smooth as flawless glass, the sun's golden rays gliding across its surface like drifting silk. The elves leaned over the railing, marveling at silver fish drifting lazily beneath the crystalline water, their shimmering scales reflecting the quiet wonder of the moment. Then, something wondrous occurred. The hidden realm of the Nandor, the elves who dwelt behind the waterfall, revealed itself as though the river had turned to crystal. Through the gleaming depths, they saw lush emerald forests, silver-veiled cascades, and flowers glowing with light like captured starlight. Even the stones shone like gold, and sands glittered like pure mithril. Silence enveloped them all as the Galadrim gazed into that ethereal world, unsure whether they beheld a blessing or an omen. Then a soft cry rose from one of the warriors, for a slender boat was gliding toward them, appearing as if lifted from the very heart of the hidden realm. It drifted with such grace that the water did not stir. At its oars sat an elf maiden of breathtaking beauty. Her delicate hands guided the vessel with quiet mastery, and when she stepped aboard the Galadrim's ship, they saw sorrow etched upon her fair face, as though grief had taken up residence in her spirit. "Greetings, noble warriors of the Galadrim," she said, her voice gentle as honeyed springtime. Phelan rose at once, sensing the weight of destiny in her presence. Bowing with reverence, he asked her name and purpose. With a frail smile, she replied, "I am Nyerys, daughter of the king of the Nandor. I have sought you across many moons. I come in desperate need of your protection." At her words, Phelan's hand drifted to the hilt of his sword, and he scanned the forest for lurking threat. "Tell us," he urged, "who dares pursue the daughter of a king?" "It is Durog," she whispered, her voice trembling. "A dark sorcerer whose power is vast and cruel. He seeks to claim my father's realm, but failing to take it by force, he now hunts me. For he believes that by binding me to him, the Nandorian lands will fall into his hands." Her eyes shimmered with fear. "My father grows old, and with no son to follow him, his resolve has faltered. He insists I must wed Durog, but I cannot. My heart refuses such a fate." Her gaze turned to Phelan, pleading, shining with desperate hope. "Your renown is known even in my father's halls. None but you can escort me home and free our courts from this shadow." Before Phelan could answer, Ainur, his grandson, proud, handsome, and fierce, stepped forward. "Princess Nyerys," he said gently, "even without Phelan's command, we would protect you. No dark sorcerer shall lay a hand upon you." But no sooner had the words left his tongue than the sky dimmed, as though smothered by an invisible veil. Darkness swept the river in an instant, yet no cloud stirred, no wind rose. And then they saw it. A mighty warrior descended from the heavens atop a silver-grey stallion, whose mane flowed like moonlit smoke. The steed galloped across the air itself, hooves churning thunder and shadow. The rider wore a gleaming mithril helm, a silver shield upon his left arm, and in his right hand, a sword whose blade flashed like a shard of lightning. The river churned wildly beneath him. The once still surface broke into furious waves that hurled the ships toward the sandy shore. With a command from Phelan, the Galadrim leapt to land, shields and swords ready. The stallion touched the beach in a storm of sand, its rider dismounting with dreadful purpose. "Is this Durog of whom you spoke?" Phelan asked. Nyerys clutched at his arm. "Yes, none other." Ainur stepped forward, indignant and brave, but Durog laughed, dismissing him as though he were nothing more than a child pretending at battle. Enraged, Ainur drew his bow. His arrow pierced the sorcerer's great steed, and the mighty animal fell in a shuddering collapse. At last, roused to wrath, Durog struck his sword against his shield, sending thunder rolling across the shore. He declared that 50 Galadrim warriors were no match for him, and that if they refused to fight, they were little more than babes still nursing at their mothers' sides. The battle that followed was fierce beyond all memory. Durog's power was terrible. His blows carved paths through the elven ranks. Yet even as chaos raged, destiny guided the steps of two warriors, Ainur and the Dark Sorcerer, until they stood face to face. Their clash was like lightning meeting steel, each strike echoing through the very bones of the world. Sparks flew, sand rose, the air trembled as though afraid to breathe. But at last, Durog faltered. His strength waned, his guard fell open for the span of a heartbeat, and Ainur, swift as a falling star, drove his blade into the sorcerer's heart. Durog's final cry shivered through the trees, and then he fell. Silence washed over the battlefield. The river calmed, the wind ceased its mourning, and Princess Nyerys, with tears of relief shimmering like morning dew, turned to the Galadrim and thanked each warrior with a grace that glowed like dawn over the golden wood. Beneath the cool whisper of falling water, the elf maiden lifted her gaze and spoke softly. I can return to my homeland behind the waterfall now. Because of your courage, Durok's shadow can trouble me no more. For a moment, her voice trembled like a leaf in a gentle breeze. But before I depart, I must ask one last thing of you. Should ever I need your help again, swear that you will come, swiftly, faithfully, without hesitation. The Galatrium bowed their heads as one, pledging their unwavering loyalty. Some say the mist carried their vow into the very stones of the valley, binding it with ancient magic. A year and a day slipped by, quiet as drifting petals. Then once more, the Galatrium crossed through the enchanted waterfall. While they sailed beneath its shimmering veil, a small boat emerged from the light, its oars guided by a lone figure. Phelan shaded his eyes against the sun. Could it be Princess Nerys? His heart leapt at the very thought. He still longed to prove his valor to the maiden, whose memory had warmed his dreams. But Thelen, ever watchful, narrowed his eyes. No, not her. A young man approaches, nothing more. The small vessel glided alongside their ship, and the young elf raised his voice in greeting. Who are you? Phelan demanded, leaning over the railing. I am a messenger from the realm of the Nandor, the elves who dwell behind the waterfall, the youth replied, his voice weighed down by sorrow. What message do you carry? The young elf looked up, and the grief in his eyes turned the air cold. My lady, Princess Nerys, lies dying. A hush fell over the Galatrians. Then, as if carried by one breath, they began to sing a lament, low and haunting, a chorus woven of morning and moonlight. Phelan raised his hand for silence. Are her wounds so grave? Yes, the messenger whispered. She is near her final breath. Yet she bade me remind you of your vow, the vow you made to come to her in her time of need. If there is anything we can do, Phelan said solemnly, it shall be done. There is one among you, the messenger continued, a healer of great renown, Alwyn. Princess Nerys begs that he come at once to her bedside. Only his hands may yet restore her. Beneath the cool whisper of falling water, the elf maiden lifted her gaze and spoke softly. I can return to my homeland behind the waterfall now. Because of your courage, Durok's shadow can trouble me no more. For a moment, her voice trembled like a leaf in a gentle breeze. But before I depart, I must ask one last thing of you. Should ever I need your help again, swear that you will come, swiftly, faithfully, without hesitation. The Galatrium bowed their heads as one, pledging their unwavering loyalty. Some say the mist carried their vow into the very stones of the valley, binding it with ancient magic. A year and a day slipped by, quiet as drifting petals. Then once more the Galatrium crossed through the enchanted waterfall. While they sailed beneath its shimmering veil, a small boat emerged from the light, its oars guided by a lone figure. Phelan shaded his eyes against the sun. Could it be Princess Nerys? His heart leapt at the very thought. He still longed to prove his valor to the maiden, whose memory had warmed his dreams. But Thelen, ever watchful, narrowed his eyes. No, not her. A young man approaches, nothing more. The small vessel glided alongside their ship, and the young elf raised his voice in greeting. Who are you? Phelan demanded, leaning over the railing. I am a messenger from the realm of the Nandor, the elves who dwell behind the waterfall, the youth replied, his voice weighed down by sorrow. What message do you carry? The young elf looked up, and the grief in his eyes turned the air cold. my lady. Princess Neris lies dying." A hush fell over the Galatrians. Then, as if carried by one breath, they began to sing a lament, low and haunting, a chorus woven of morning and moonlight. Phelan raised his hand for silence. "Are her wounds so grave?" "Yes," the messenger whispered. "She is near her final breath, yet she bade me remind you of your vow, the vow you made to come to her in her time of need. If there is anything we can do," Phelan said solemnly, "it shall be done. There is one among you," the messenger continued, "a healer of great renown. Elwyn. Princess Neris begs that he come at once to her bedside. Only his hands may yet restore her." Alwyn, most gifted of the Galatrium, master of herbs and ancient remedies, stepped forward without a moment's hesitation. He boarded the messenger's small boat, and they sped together toward the hidden entrance behind the waterfall. As they passed a tiny island brimming with radiant mosses, Alwyn leaned over the side, gathering handfuls of vibrant herbs. Among them he found 3 patches of crimson Lorian lace, a rare moss renowned for its healing strength. Carefully, he collected a portion from each patch, ensuring a pure and balanced remedy. Beyond the waterfall, the Nandorian palace rose before them, shimmering gold, carved as though from sunlight itself. Its halls were lined with sorrowful courtiers, their eyes dimmed by grief for their fading princess. The king and queen greeted Alwyn with soft, broken voices, guiding him swiftly to her chamber. There, upon a moon-pale bed, lay Princess Neris, still as winter, her breath barely a sigh. Alwyn placed a gentle hand upon her brow. At his touch, her eyelids fluttered open. She whispered his name, offering him a faint smile touched with sorrow. "Alwyn of the Galatrium, your presence brings me comfort. Your healing touch eases my pain, but it cannot cure this illness. My time in this world grows short." With eyes full of compassion, Alwyn replied, "Princess, I know the nature of your affliction. The moment I touched your brow, its truth was revealed. I have brought with me 3 portions of Lorian lace. If I mix them with 3 drops of enchanted water, the remedy will restore your strength." But Neris shook her head, tears shimmering like dew along her lashes. "I am bound by a sacred law. I cannot drink any enchanted water, except that which is poured from the chalice of eternity, a relic now guarded by the king of the forgotten city. Without that chalice, I cannot take your remedy." "Does the chalice truly hold such power?" Alwyn asked. "It is said so," she whispered. "But none who have sought it have ever returned with it. The king will not part with it. I am resigned to my fate, but I thank you for trying." Alwyn rose to his feet, his resolve shining like a blade newly forged. "Princess Neris, I swear that no force in this world or the next shall keep me from retrieving the chalice of eternity. Tell me where to find this forgotten city." A voice, faint as falling snow, replied, "Journey west. There you will find a river of shimmering silver. The city lies upon the far bank, but crossing the river is impossible. Many heroes have tried. None succeeded." Alwyn crafted protective enchantments to sustain her while he was gone. The king and queen offered blessings, heavy with fear and hope. Then he set forth, traveling through lush forests, along rolling emerald hills, until at last the great silver river came into view. Its waters glimmered like molten mithril beneath the sun. He searched endlessly, seeking a ford or a hidden bridge, but the river guarded its secrets well. At last, despair crept into his heart. He sank onto a stone, burying his face in his hands. "Neris spoke true," he murmured. "There is no way to cross." A voice, bright and mischievous, broke the silence. Alwyn of the Galatrium, you seem to have wandered into quite the predicament. Startled, he lifted his head. Before him stood a tiny figure, dressed in brown, a playful smile dancing at the corners of his mouth. Strangely, Alwyn felt no fear, only a curious calm, as though this moment had been waiting for him. You speak the truth, Alwyn replied softly. I am in need, great need. The little figure tilted his head. And tell me, healer, what would you offer in return if someone were to help you continue your quest? The little man spoke at last, his eyes shimmering with a quiet, mischievous light. I ask only what you are willing to give, he said. I would give anything, Alwyn replied without hesitation, his voice steady as moonlit steel. Anything, so long as it means Princess Aneris may be saved from the shadow of death. For a heartbeat, the small, brown-clad figure simply regarded him, as though measuring the weight of the elf's devotion. Then he nodded slowly. Then what I ask is simple. Alwyn of the Galatrium, your goodwill. Surprised by such gentleness, Alwyn bowed his head. Gladly. If goodwill is all you desire, then it is yours in abundance. A smile warmed the little man's face. Very well. Then I shall bear you across this river, so that your quest may continue. The elf blinked, half amused, half uncertain. The stranger barely reached the height of a hobbit, while Alwyn himself stood taller than most of his kin. With all respect, my friend, I fear you may be far too small to carry me across such a mighty river. The little man only chuckled softly, the sound like water trickling over smooth stones. Climb upon my back, healer. You will find I am stronger than I look. And so Alwyn did. To his amazement, the little man's shoulders were broad and firm, capable of bearing his weight with ease. With swift, confident steps, the brown-clad figure began to walk straight across the river's surface, as though the rushing water were nothing more than a polished marble floor. Ripples curled beneath his feet, shimmering like silver threads in the moonlight. Halfway across, Alwyn's gaze drifted to an island hidden in the river's heart, a dark shape smothered in swirling mist. What is that strange isle? He asked quietly. It seems veiled in secrets. That, the little man replied, is the Enchanted Isle. The waters there can heal any wound, no matter how grave. But no one who sets foot upon its shores survives the attempt. Even as he finished speaking, they reached the far bank. The little man lowered Alwyn onto soft, dew-kissed grass and gestured toward the rolling hills ahead. Beyond these lies the forgotten city, Alwyn of the Galadrim. Your path leads there. Alwyn bowed deeply, gratitude welling in his chest. You have aided me greatly and asked so little. It seems unjust. But I did ask for something, the little man replied, twinkling with mirth. Your goodwill. That is all I wished to receive. Alwyn nodded in understanding. Then you know why I journey here. I seek the chalice of eternity, so I may heal Princess Neris. I know, the little man said gently. May fortune walk beside you. May you find what you seek within the halls of the Forgotten King. With those soft words, he turned back to the river. His form shimmered, wavered, and dissolved like mist at sunrise, gone without a trace. Alwyn pressed onward. The land around him grew stranger with every step. No sun shone in the sky, yet a soft ethereal glow suffused the air, as though light breathed from the very clouds. Time stretched and blurred, until at last, after what felt like a long wandering dream, the forgotten city rose before him. Its gates were enormous, silver and crystal, soaring like frozen starlight. But when Alwyn pushed them, they did not yield. Lifting his voice, he called out, "By the name of Princess Neris, who lies near death, I demand entry." A cold, imperious voice answered from beyond the gate. "This city is forbidden to all who trespass. Turn back." "Do you deny me passage?" Alwyn demanded, his hand brushing the hilt of his sword. "I am the guardian of the forgotten city," the voice intoned. "I am sworn to protect its secrets from those who would claim them." Alwyn's resolve hardened, sharp as tempered steel. "Then come forth and face me, guardian. I will earn my right to enter." The gates groaned open. A towering figure in blood-red armor stepped forward, wielding a massive sword that glowed with baleful light. Alwyn lifted his own blade, a healer first, but a trained warrior of the Galadrim all the same. Their clash rang like thunder. Sparks danced. The air trembled with the rhythm of steel on steel. Blow after blow they traded, pushing across the threshold of the Silver City, until, with a final desperate strike, Alwyn drove his blade through the crimson armor. The Guardian fell, collapsing like a felled oak. Silence followed. Then another figure stepped from the city. A regal elf crowned in silver. Alwyn knew at once. This was the Forgotten King. "Who spills blood at my gates?" the king demanded, his voice cold as winter frost. Alwyn sheathed his blade, chest heaving. "I seek the chalice of eternity, that I may heal Princess Neris of the Nandor, who lies dying." The Forgotten King studied him, eyes ancient and unreadable. "Your name is known to me, Alwyn of the Galadrim. Your healing arts have reached even my ears. But why should I give the greatest treasure of my kingdom into your hands?" Alwyn's mind raced, and then a daring thought emerged. "Because a true king values the lives of his people. Give me the chalice, and I will use its power first on your fallen guardian. If he lives again, you will know the purity of my intentions. For the chalice works only in the hands of one who is a true healer." A long, weighty silence followed. Then, slowly, the Forgotten King's sternness softened into a faint smile. "You speak with a silver tongue," he said. "Very well, I shall grant you the chalice. But heed this warning. If you fail to restore him, your life shall be forfeit." At a gesture, servants brought forth the chalice of eternity, wrapped in black velvet. Its surface shimmered with ancient magic, light rippling like water across silver. Kneeling beside the fallen guardian, Alwyn tipped the chalice. A single drop of enchanted water touched the warrior's lips. For a moment, stillness. Then the guardian gasped, drawing breath as life surged back into him. Before Alwyn's astonished eyes, wounds closed, flesh wove itself whole, and soon not even a scar remained. And the Forgotten City watched in awed silence as the healer's miracle unfolded beneath its silver gates. The guardian nodded at last, the hard glint in his ancient eyes softening into something almost like respect. "You have proven your worth," he murmured, his voice rolling like distant thunder. "Take the chalice of eternity. My blessing goes with it. Use it to heal your princess." Alwyn turned to leave, relief swelling in his chest. Yet the guardian's voice drifted after him like a cold wind, stopping him mid-stride. "Beware, young healer," the guardian warned. "The chalice's magic is not without limit. In healing me, you have spent the very last of its enchanted water. Without the waters of the enchanted isle to fill it anew, it is now nothing more than a lovely trinket." Those words followed Alwyn as the world shimmered, and in the blink of an eye, he found himself once more upon the quiet bank of the Silver River, his face shadowed with worry. "Alas," he whispered to himself, "I must return to Nandor in shame. Even if I manage to cross this river again, This empty chalice is useless without the sacred waters it once held. Just then, a musical voice, light as a wind chime, cut gently through his troubled thoughts. "So, Olwen of the Galadrium," the little man in brown said, tilting his head with a wry, knowing smile. "We find ourselves in a predicament once more." Olwen sighed, recognizing the small figure. "My friend, who speaks in riddles. Indeed. I have the chalice of eternity, but its water is gone, and I am stranded on this bank. I have failed twice over." The little man's eyes sparkled. "Failed once, perhaps, but twice? No, not yet. I can carry you across the river again, just as before." "Please," Olwen pleaded softly. "But what shall you ask of me in return?" "As before," the little man said, shrugging with cheerful indifference. "Only your goodwill." With surprising strength, he lifted Olwen onto his broad back and stepped into the shimmering waters. But halfway across, right as the river mist curled thickest around them, the little man turned, not toward the far shore, but toward the fog-veiled shape of the enchanted isle. Alarm rushed through Olwen. Where are you taking me?" The little man only chuckled. "Do you not wish to heal your princess? Did I not tell you before? The chalice drinks only from the sacred spring of this isle." Olwen frowned, trying to recall the moment, but the little man continued. "You must refill the chalice. That is why I bring you here. But heed me well. You must not, under any circumstance, step foot upon the island. Touch its soil and it will claim you forever." He knelt slowly beside the spring, mist swirling around them like drifting silver smoke. "Lean out and fill your chalice. I will not let you fall." Olwen's heart rose with hope, pure, glowing, almost weightless. And with trembling hands, he reached out over the sparkling water and filled the chalice of eternity once more. The moment the deed was done, the little man carried him safely back to the grassy shores of Nandor. "I sense your heart is light again, Olwen of the Galadrium," he said warmly. "It is," Olwen replied with gratitude. "Thanks to you." But the little man's expression grew solemn. "Then hear one final piece of advice, so your joy may remain unbroken." "Speak," Olwen said gently. "After all you've done for me, I would be foolish not to listen." The little man's voice softened with sincerity. "When Princess Nerys is healed, the king will offer you treasures beyond imagining. Gold, titles, perhaps even his daughter's hand. But do not let your heart be swayed by wealth or power. When he asks what reward you desire, request only a boat to return to your homeland. True reward lies not in glory, but in knowing you have used your gifts to bring healing into the world." Olwen bowed deeply. "Your wisdom has guided me farther than you know. I will do as you say." With a final smile, the little man vanished into the folds of mist, leaving Olwen to hurry toward the glowing palace. There, he prepared the healing draught with care. 3 pinches of crimson moss, 3 drops of sacred water, all stirred with reverent hands. He held the chalice to Princess Nerys' lips. She drank once, twice, thrice, and as the final drop slid down her throat, color returned to her cheeks. She sat up, radiant and renewed, like dawn breaking after a long night. Joy erupted throughout the palace. Laughter flitted through the air. Minstrels sang, dancers spun, and sorrow fled from every shadow. The king approached Olwen with tears of gratitude. "What reward shall be yours, Olwen of the Galadrium? Ask anything. Gold, jewels, land, even the hand of my daughter." But Olwen bowed his head, heart steady and resolute. "Your Majesty, if I wed Princess Nerys, I must remain here forever. And though your realm is wondrous, My heart yearns for the golden woods of my people. I ask only for a boat to return home." The king, moved by such humility, granted his wish. The court accompanied Olwen to the riverbank, where a small but sturdy vessel awaited. Princess Nerys stepped close, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I shall never forget you," she whispered. "Even when you are far away, I will think of you with gratitude and joy." With a gentle squeeze of her hand, Olwen stepped into the boat. The boatman, the same messenger who had once brought news of Nerys's illness, rowed him through the enchanted waterfall and beyond the borders of Nandor. When Olwen reached his homeland, his fellow warriors gathered around, listening with wide-eyed wonder as he recounted his extraordinary journey. Their voices soon rose in songs of triumph and peace, carried away on the wind as they sailed deeper into the golden woods of Lothlorien. And in their midst, Olwen stood tall, heart full, spirit quiet, knowing that wherever his path led next, he would always carry the friendship and gratitude of the Nandorian people, warm as starlight within him. Beneath the Blue Mountains, where the dwarven kingdom slept beneath layers of stone and time, another tale waited to unfold. For in those deep halls lived a young dwarf named Thorek, and his father Baric, humble miners working in the endless dark. And one fateful day, deep in the uncharted caverns, Thorek's pickaxe struck something that gleamed like starlight, a vein of mithril, the most precious metal ever known. A new adventure was about to begin. In the gentle glow of the dim lantern light, the first threads of mithril shimmered like strands of moon-woven silver. They clung to the stone walls as if the mountain itself were dreaming. Young Thorek stood frozen, breath caught in his chest. For he knew, in that quiet moment, that his life, his family's very fate, had just shifted forever. A single heartbeat later, awe gave way to purpose. And so, in secret hours when the halls slept and only the mountain murmured, Thorek worked tirelessly to ease the silver threads from the rock. Only his father, old Baric, knew of the discovery. Together, father and son forged wonders, blades light as breath, ornaments bright as starlight, treasures unlike anything the other dwarfen clans had ever seen. Prosperity followed like spring after winter. The once struggling settlement bloomed into a proud and bustling stronghold. Their mansion, carved deep into the living stone, glowed each night with 1,000 mithril lanterns that painted the halls in shifting silver. Laughter echoed through their chambers. Music drifted through the caverns like warm smoke from a hearth. They were craftsmen of renown, beloved and respected. But there was one truth, a single shimmering secret that Thorek kept even from his father's wise old eyes. Deep within the mithril vein, nestled like the heart of some sleeping star, he had found a gem beyond imagining, a stone that glowed as if it remembered the dawn of the world. It was the Arkenstone, the legendary heart of the mountain, a jewel said to possess the power to unite every dwarfen clan beneath one banner or to tear kingdoms apart if misused. Its facets were flawless, cut so sharply that they caught every color of the rainbow and returned them tenfold. To gaze into it was said to be like gazing into the soul of the earth itself. Thorek knew he could never conceal it forever, yet he feared what storms might be unleashed should the jewel's discovery become known. So he hid it, locked away within a secret stone chamber beneath his father's hall, waiting for the day he would journey to Erebor and place it in the hands of the rightful king. Until then, the burden weighed upon him like a silent shadow. Not even those he loved most could share the weight of it. Then came the day when everything changed. As Thorek entered the secret chamber to check upon the Arkenstone, the mountain trembled. A deep groan rolled through the stone, and the walls began to splinter and crumble. He staggered as a crack split the floor, and with a jolt, the Arkenstone slipped free from its resting place and tumbled to the ground. Its radiant light flared, filling the collapsing chamber with blinding brilliance. Thorek lunged for it, but the doorway collapsed in a thunder of stone, trapping him inside. His cries for help echoed through the halls, and guards rushed to clear the rubble. But even as they worked, the Arkenstone's glow spilled out through the cracks, revealing the treasure Thorek had so desperately hidden. Panic filled him. Chaos was rising like flood water. Acting on pure instinct, Thorek seized the Arkenstone and thrust it into his mouth, meaning to swallow it, to protect it until the danger had passed. But the moment the gem slid down his throat, a searing fire shot through him. It was as if molten gold had replaced his blood. He fell to his knees, gasping as the heat raged through him, wild and uncontrollable. Stumbling blindly, he fled into the cavern that held the underground lake. Its cool, clear waters shimmered softly in the half-light. He plunged his hands, then his face, into the water, drinking desperately. But the liquid turned to steam at the touch of his lips. Nothing could quench the inferno. He knelt there, shaking, alone, when the change began. His skin hardened, cracked, and gave way to scales gleaming like burnished gold. Horns curled from his brow, his eyes ignited with a reptilian fire. His body twisted and grew, immense and terrible, until the dwarf named Thorek vanished, and something ancient, something monstrous, took his place. With a shattering roar that shook the roots of the mountain, the dragon rose from the lakeside. Barik, hearing the echo of destruction, rushed into the cavern. His heart broke as he beheld the great creature, its flame-lit eyes reflecting the sorrow he could no longer reach. Tears streamed down his face as he called out to his son's fading spirit, begging him to remember, to fight the curse burning within him. But the dragon's fury drowned his pleas. Thorek, consumed by the Arkenstone's power, heard nothing but the roar of his own transformation. With a final cry of anguish, the beast dove into the lake's depths, vanishing beneath the churning, boiling waters. From that night onward, the dwarves of the Blue Mountains spoke of Thorek in hushed tones, a soft warning carried from one generation to the next, of greed, of ancient relics, of the thin line between ambition and ruin. Some claimed that when the moon is dark and the wind moans through the old caverns, a dragon's mournful roar can still be heard, a lament for the son who was lost, and for the father who could not save him. And as for the Arkenstone, its beauty remained a tale both wondrous and terrible, a jewel of unity or of destruction, a symbol of the dwarven heart itself. And the one who dared claim its glory was the one it finally consumed.
you.